Imagine a rocky peninsula with almost no farmland, no oil, and barely any fresh water. In 1950, Hong Kong was a refugee port. Poor, crowded, and fragile. But by the 1990s, it was richer than Britain itself. How? Quite simple. Not luck, not resources, freedom. So before we start, I'm giving away my $197 Wealth Builders Toolkit free for a limited period. It's the exact system I use to manage my money and plan investments. So grab it while it's still free, link in the description, and let's dive straight in. So Hong Kong became a global power because it trusted people more than politicians, and that trust, that moral confidence in human creativity, built a miracle. This was one of the East Asian tiger economies that after World War II and the Chinese Civil War, millions fled to Hong Kong with nothing. The city had no welfare state, no master plan, just hungry people and open docks. But Britain's colonial administration made a very surprising decision. Don't centrally plan it, let the market work. Economist Sir John Cowperthwaite, that's Hong Kong's financial secretary in the 1960s, refused to interfere. He even banned the collection of detailed economic statistics, saying, if I let them collect data, they'll use it to justify intervention. That was quite extreme. The radical idea, though, was to trust ordinary people more than bureaucrats. Cowperthwaite's philosophy was quite simple, really. It was just low taxes, not completely no taxes necessarily, but just low taxes, sound money, so good monetary policy, rule of law, so respecting property rights, free trade, opening up the barriers, opening up the borders, and no subsidies, but also no bailouts, so true capitalism, not like a kind of a semi-plutocracy, if you will. Within a generation, Hong Kong turned from a shantytown into a manufacturing giant. Textiles became electronics. Workshops became skyscrapers. But here's what mattered most, incentives. I've said it before, but incentives is the first thing that we study in economics. So you go to college, 101, your first class, right? If you never go to college, that's the biggest thing you learn straight away is people respond to incentives. Incentives matter. It's a simple concept, but it's what a lot of people fail to realize. Think about it. If people respond to incentives, then incentives really what you want to set out to achieve the outcomes you desire. When people keep what they earn, they work harder. So when businesses could fail, they innovated faster, right? Because there was no safety net in a sense. When governments stayed out, character stepped in. Freedom didn't just build wealth. It demanded virtue, thrift, trust, discipline, if you will. And Hong Kong's success, it wasn't merely economic, it was moral. Like the city, it provided a timeless truth, if you will. Like prosperity itself, it flows from moral responsibility, as Adam Smith says, not state control. It's like the invisible hand doing its job. Capitalism worked there because people had to be accountable. There was no safety state. Like you're on your own, right? It's like being in the wilderness. No one could hide behind entitlements. Families helped one another. Communities built networks of trust. That culture, the Confucian duty in hard work, the British law, that was common law, and market realism created one of the highest life expectancies and literacy rates on earth. So this was really cool. I mean, you get to see, again, we kind of talk about it in North Korea and South Korea, but Hong Kong is another example of a natural experiment gone right. When you try these things, you get the perfect constellation of events, you can see human flourishing, right? In a land that was destitute, look at what happened. If we could just learn this lesson, right, we could really help a lot of lives around the world. It was freedom, yes, but freedom with order. Liberty rooted in law. Commerce grounded in character, that Confucian Eastern duty, that sense of duty mixed with Western markets, Western capitalism, and the two combining. By the 1980s, 1990s, Hong Kong ranked amongst the freest economies in the world. So when that 200-year lease that the Britain had with the Chinese, when that expired in 1997, things changed. But There were zero tariffs. There was minimal debt. There was a currency board so stable it survived every global shock. It was a fixed exchange, the Hong Kong dollar, where every dollar or every Hong Kong dollar they had a foreign currency unit. So they weren't going to rampantly increase the inflation rate. So foreign investment poured in. A city with no natural resources, no gold, no silver, no we're plundering this. What resources? Or no resources. Swampland to a certain extent. That city with no natural resources became the gateway between the East and the West. Freedom had turned scarcity into abundance. I think that's the key lesson that I take from Hong Kong is when you have minimal regulation and when you have trust, those two, you can really turn scarcity into abundance. But behind the statistics was something deeper that's often forgotten about. A shared belief that hard work was honourable, that Confucian sense of duty from the East, that saving was virtuous, and that contracts were sacred. If you're serious about making 2026 the first year you actually start building wealth, not just learning about it, start with the Wealth Builders Toolkit. It's my $197 system for tracking money, automating saving, and planning your first property. I'm giving it away free for a limited period. So click the link in the description to grab it while it's still available. The Hong Kong miracle was not built in Parliament, let me tell you. It was built in character. Now, in recent years, that miracle has been tested. Greater central control, tighter speech laws, and erosion of the rule of law. They're threatening the foundation that made Hong Kong thrive. The message is clear. Freedom is fragile. You remove it, and prosperity evaporates. Gone. No matter how advanced the skyline looks, the same moral law, by the way, applies everywhere. Freedom creates wealth, virtue sustains it, and control destroys it. Hong Kong reminds us that capitalism, it isn't self-driving, it's moral stewardship, or it's nothing. The miracle of Hong Kong, it wasn't economic policy, it was human freedom, anchored in truth. When you trust people to act, and you hold them to their word, wealth follows. But when you replace freedom with fear, the lights go out. We've seen that quite literally in North Korea. Look at the nighttime image. But capitalism doesn't need fixing. We do. Because the real miracle isn't money. It's moral freedom that lets people build their future together.